Hey YouTube, what's up? Hopefully everybody's doing well. It's 2014, January. Just making a video blog here about something that's very personal to me, and involves wrestling, my wrestling coach, and just a number of other people. And I think it's a good story. Hopefully you stick around for it. So, first, this really starts with how I got into wrestling. When I was a young kid, like maybe 10, 11 years old, whatever, I'd go hang out with my friends, and one day my friend and his father ordered like a UFC. It was like UFC 2 or 1. And I'm watching this, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, these guys are legitimately fighting with, back then it was like bare knuckle. It was, no, like very little rules. It was really actually, it's kind of barbaric in a way, but I still appreciated the one-on-one sort of competition. Now, Royce Gracie was big UFC champion, especially in the beginning. UFC 1, 2, he might have won 4, I think. But he won a few, and, I took a really strong interest right away to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I said to myself, wow, this guy is just going out there and just killing people, he's doing great. And he's a smaller guy, and this Jiu-Jitsu thing looks pretty cool. I want to check it out. But on Long Island at the time, it wasn't popular. It wasn't really around. There might have been Renzo Gracie in the city, but it wasn't readily available for me. And even if it was, I come from sort of a very humble background, so we didn't really have money for jiu-jitsu lessons, even if it was available. So that led me to wrestling, because wrestling, in my mind back then, it was like, all right, it's kind of similar. Let me give it a shot. School does it. It's for free. So joined wrestling in 8th grade. Fast forward a couple of years, met a lot of great guys. Danny Roberts won a state championship for us on our team. Greg Ponzi, Deanna Royal, really awesome and great people. But the one person that really I'm making this blog about is a man by the name of Rick Herrmann. Now, Rick Herrmann was a wrestling coach. Without going into too much detail about him, he was really like a second father to me. He really watched over me. In high school, I was, let's just say, not interested in school very much. And he did a good job at sort of mentoring me and coaching me, not just in wrestling, not just on the mat, but off the mat in the school, to say, hey, finish high school, get that out of the way, and, move forward. So, aside from that, he was great. He would bring us to all sorts of places for wrestling tournaments, Binghamton numerous times, Buffalo, Empire State Games, really, really cool and fun, things. So, the guy was like a second father to me, and I really loved him. And, in 2002, shortly after I left high school, he says, hey, Joe, you should probably wrestle in college. I think you'd be a good college wrestler. And I was like, I thought about it, I was like, I put it in the back of my mind, And then one day in December of 2002, he's coaching, and, I got to see him the last day before he passed away. He wound up passing away the next morning. And, everybody sort of, everybody really loved this guy. He was just a well-liked guy, And the funny thing is, right before I left the gym when he was coaching, I usually have a tendency when I leave rooms, I'm sure a lot of you people do this as well, if I'm in a conversation with somebody or whatever, I look back just to see them still there for some reason, And for some reason I didn't look back at Rick Herrmann. I kind of thought that he would always be there, And I don't know if it's taking somebody for granted or whatever you want to call it, but I didn't look back. And he passed away early the next morning. So, time went on. A couple years later, I gave it some thought of what he said about, why don't you wrestle in college? So, I wrestled 2 years at Nassau Community College. We had good seasons. It was a great experience. Paul Schmidt, the head coach there, he does a great job. Volgar Rujev, Chris Edmonds, really, really high-level guys. And Volgar he wrestled for Soviet Russia. He's a world champion, and Chris Edmonds, Division I national champion. So we had a lot of depth, and we would have a lot of other guys in the room too. One of the guys who was, sort of working with us, it was a man by the name of Paul Gillespie, and he was the coach at Long Beach. So I took a liking to Paul Gillespie because he knew Rick Herrmann. They've been around the wrestling community back then for over 30 years. So Paul Gillespie became basically a coach of the team. He was definitely there a lot. He's a great guy. So a lot of times when we walk in between practices or after practice, walk back to the locker room or something like that, he'd say, hey Joe, how's things going over at Bellport, and because that's where I was from, and Rick Herrmann, I remember that guy. He was a great guy, and I'd always reply like, yeah, he was, he was like a father to me, and I really, appreciated that. Paul Gillespie sort of remembered him, and so, long story short, it's the regional finals. It's like one of the last matches I would have in college, and all the coaches are pumping me up. Hey, you got to win this. We got to do well. It's going to be good for you because I was ranked second in the national tournament. So like, listen, you win the regionals, you're going to look good. You get good seeding, whatever. So I was like, okay. So right before I went out there, Paul Gillespie purposely, in my mind, he purposely, stayed on the periphery until I was walking on the mat. Because right as I was walking to the center, he goes, hey Joe. And I look over, and I see Paul Gillespie, and he goes, Rick Herrmann. And to me, that was like one of these really, kind of a watershed moment for me. I was like, wow, everything is just making sense and connecting and is very clear. And, I think he really did that to sort of solidify my resolve and say, hey, remember your roots and remember the people that, you come from or helped, bring you up. And respect him to this day for that. It was really great. And, went out there, won the regional tournament, won the first round, got a pin. It was great, a lot of fun. And, as I'm walking off the mat, I go over to Paul Gillespie and I give him a hug and I'm like, hey, thanks for that. I really appreciate you saying that, And he goes, yeah, if Rick Herrmann was alive, he goes, Rick Herrmann's, he's not with us anymore, but he's probably up there in heaven looking down on us and saying, hey, good job or whatever. And, that kind of made me feel really good. So, the moral of the story here is don't take people for granted. Make sure you tell people that you care about them and that they're important to you in your life because you never know. And, it was a long, long time coming. And like I said, the reason why I'm making this video blog isn't so much so I can sit here and tell you a story. But a couple days ago, like I said, it was a long time coming. I actually went ahead and got Rick Herrmann, his birth date and death date, tattooed on me. So I think I'm very proud of it. And thanks for listening. I'm just gonna show you guys a tattoo, and hopefully you guys can take something from this. Thanks for listening.